He's there because he failed as a politician elsewhere. We know why he's there. So it hurts me that dyslexia is being attached just to failure again.
Let's turn back to Northern Ireland because voters there have been spared a Christmas present that none of them wanted, an election. Power sharing is in crisis in Northern Ireland and the government had threatened to call an election to try to force progress. But that deadline has been extended, giving weary voters a reprieve of a few months. So what can be done in those few months? We have been speaking to Chris Heaton-Harris, the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland. Let's speak to the Shadow Secretary of State, Peter Kyle. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
What do you think can be achieved in the next few months?
We can achieve an awful lot in the next 3 months, providing the government shows the willing. So what needs to happen straight away is that all parties need to be brought around the table together. It's been well over a year, perhaps 2 years, since all the party leaders were brought together and facilitated by the Secretary of State or the Prime Minister, so that all party leaders are on the same page. Secondly, the government seems to be disentangling the protocol negotiations from what's happening on the ground in Northern Ireland. They are indivisible. So party leaders need to be updated on what's happening on the protocol negotiations. They need to be brought into the loop on it, not brought onto the negotiating team because that's between the EU and the UK, but they need to be involved because that is the central issue that is preventing devolution from getting up and running again. And then we need to have a Prime Minister that actually will put the effort into it. Don't forget, Tony Blair's first visit as Prime Minister outside of London was to Belfast. He visited 5 times in his first year. Within 5 years, he was the Prime Minister that had visited the most of any Prime Minister in history. And that's the kind of dedication it takes to make sure that functional politics is delivered in Northern Ireland and maintained.
Well, I mean, Peter, I remember, Peter Kyle, I remember Liz Truss, for example, there were many ministers and MPs who did talk about the situation in Northern Ireland and did visit there. I think the problem, of course, is that the situation in Northern Ireland has been affected by the political instability that we've had over the last few months.
Well, you mentioned Liz Truss, and it's a really good example of how to get it wrong. Because what Liz Truss did, she didn't visit as Prime Minister, but she wasn't Prime Minister for very long. But when she was Foreign Secretary, she did visit, but she only went and visited and had a meeting with the DUP. Now, it's since the Good Friday Agreement established the principle of representing all of Northern Ireland when you are based in Westminster. It is very important when you're over there that you meet and give equal time to each party and actually take each party on their own terms. But Liz Truss and this government have been very much loaded to one side of the community debate, so on the unionist side. The nationalists have felt excluded, so that has driven more of a wedge within politics in Northern Ireland. And now we've reached this impasse. Then the relationship between the unionists and the Tory government has broken down, and the Tories don't have any friends over there. They don't really have much sort of credibility in the bank to use at times like this. So they need to reset and restart. Rishi Sunak has never visited Northern Ireland, with one exception. He visited during the Tory leadership race, and he only met with Tory members over there. We need him to go over there and use that power of office to facilitate dialogue, but also to deliver progress on the protocol. There's no way around delivering progress on the protocol to get devolution up and running again.
I mean, you'll understand there are so many competing demands for Rishi Sunak's attention right now. He's got he's got to kind of oversee this autumn statement next week. He's only been Prime Minister a couple of weeks, so presumably that will happen. Can I ask you about one other thing, and that is the Times reporting this morning that plans to reform social care, after all, may be delayed for 2 years. Do you support at least a delay? Because local government also want a delay. They say it's not financially ready yet, the plan anyway.
Well, a delay is another sign of failure, the mismanagement of our country. Now, the Tories have been mismanaging our economy. We know that. That's why we've got a £45 billion gap in our public finances, which is being paid for by every working person in our country in a crisis made in Downing Street. But the same is true for our relationship abroad. Our same is true for the management of our public services. So yes, it looks like there's going to be a delay, but it was 2 years ago that the plan was first launched. And the Labour Party supported getting extra money into our social care system. We supported the reforms, even though we wanted a different set of reforms and a broader set of reforms. But it is another sign that the government is just not managing our country properly. They've been in for 12 years, and still they're asking for another 2 before they deliver the plan they announced 2 years ago we've had 2 more prime ministers since that plan was announced.
Right.
So I think we get the gist. This government is not in control of our public services. It's not in control of our economy, and it's not in control of our country. It's time
Okay.
for a fresh start.
Just finally, before you go, I want to ask you about Matt Hancock, because he says he's gone into the jungle to draw attention to dyslexia. You have dyslexia. Is this something that you welcome? Do you think that this will make a difference?
No, I don't. I think everybody knows. It's just not credible to say that he's going into the jungle to talk about dyslexia. The thing that's quite hurtful for me is that I want dyslexia to be associated with success, because those of us who have overcome the barriers that dyslexia or severe dyslexia puts in our way, I think that we can point to attributes that we've gained from that experience that actually help us in life. But once again, Matt Hancock has just sort of dragged dyslexia into the realms of failure. He's there because he failed as a politician elsewhere. We know why he's there. So it hurts me that dyslexia is being attached just to failure again, when I really want us to have a debate and switch the debate to those of us who have neurological challenges in one way or another, to point to the attributes that can come with it, the positive things that can come from it, and also the pathways to success that it opens up for so many of us. Those are the things I want it to be associated with, and unfortunately Matt Hancock has dragged it into the gutter.